Multi-decade rivalry back on. 49ers Cowboys faced off in the playoffs 3 times in a row in the 70s, 3 times in a row in the 90s, and now 2 times in a row in the 20s. Weird but true. The current Cowboys headed to San Francisco after bouncing TB12 and the Bucs 6 points at a time.
PRESCOTT, touchdown!
They take on the 49ers, a team that's gone full strange brew, steamrolling teams as they march into the divisional round on an 11-game win streak.
Finds Mitchell, improvisation leads to a touchdown!
What a matchup, battle of DPOY candidates. First team All-Pro edge rush buddies.
Y'all know y'all more than welcome to come to mock parade.
Nick Bosa on one side, MICAH Parsons on the other. Which guy has the bigger impact?
That's twice. I got it. Then you two gotta help us.
Answer could go a long way in dictating how the game unfolds and ends. Neither guy lines up exclusively on one side, so the key matchup we start with, San Francisco's tackles versus Parsons. MICAH, 13.5 sacks in 2022, third most pressures of any edge rusher.
I used to love George Lopez, bro.
In 2022, Parsons attacked the left tackle about 60% of the time, the right tackle 40%.
Pressured! Good night, nurse.
Don't be surprised if that is at least flipped in this one. San Francisco's left tackle, Trent Williams, PFF's best left tackle 2 years running now. Number 11 may spend a little more time on the right side then. MCGLINCHEY, he's not a Turk or a JD or anything, but he gave up 6 sacks in 2022, and he's not Trent Williams.
He's going to split McGlinchey and Burford.
And worth noting, when these two played in last year's wildcard game, Parsons didn't have a single sack or even a QB hit. Dallas didn't plant Jimmy G a single time.
2 times big third down conversions to Jennings in this game.
3 of the Cowboys' key pass rushers this season played in that game too. The 49ers line again having to contend with Dorrance Armstrong, 8.5 bags in 2022, DeMarcus Lawrence, 6 sacks. The newcomer to the Niner Cowboy party, Dante Fowler, 6 bags this season, and one of the highest pressure rates in the league. That group led the way to the third most QB takedowns.
And the ball came out.
Dallas had a 35% pressure rate that was the highest in the NFL. It makes for a Gene Belcher beef squatch battle.
They are bludgeoning our quarterback.
That rush up against a line that allowed the 6th fewest sacks, the 10th lowest pressure rate.
Jimmy time. Jimmy throws. It is caught. Touchdown!
Okay, on the other side, Nick Bosa, NFL sack leader, 48 QB hits, 13 more than anyone else.
I wasn't even thinking about sack. I got one.
He didn't have a sack in their wild card win. It makes him more dangerous. The number of times Bosa went back-to-back games without seeing him shrug this season, same number of times I started for an NFL team.
A lot of 97s in here.
Or college team, Pop Warner team, 2-on-2 two-hand touch team, that one hurt.
That's a grown-ass man.
Bosa is also a 60-40 guy, but he prefers right tackles most of the time. So is the Dallas tackle situation Bosa ready? Tyron Smith played right tackle in the wild card game. He only played 4 regular season games, but we know what he's capable of. On the other side, it's rookie Tyler Smith and or Jason Peters. Peters left last week's game hurt. Tyler Smith gave up 7 sacks this year.
Sack back inside the 20-yard line.
He got moved around a lot out of necessity, so he never really got settled into one spot.
Tyler Smith, he has really played well.
Big picture pass rush battle on this side of things just as meaty as the other side. 49ers racked up 3 sacks versus Seattle last week. One of the bags, a Happy Meal, came with a forced fumble and a fumble recovery.
San Francisco's got it.
The Niners, 44 sacks, tied for 10th most, a 30% pressure rate, 9th highest, facing off with a Cowboys line that only gave up 27 sacks, 4th fewest.
These guys do not want to play with us.
Dak Prescott got solid protection versus Tampa Bay. He couldn't come into a game off a better game. Career best, 25 of 33, 305 yards, 4 touchdowns, a 143.3 rating. His touchdown pass to Dalton Schultz, probably his new signature play.
What a play by Prescott!
Prescott looked like he was toying with Tampa Bay's defense. It won't be easy to toy with San Francisco's. First in points per game allowed this year, first in yards per game. Only 3 teams scored 24 plus on them all season.
It's crazy. My life flashed before my eyes. You're really a heat-seeking missile.
Frisco secondary, 82.7 rate, tied for 5th best. Most INTs in all of football.
We're going to throw it to us. He's going to throw it right in our hand.
Broken up by Emmanuel Mosley. Intercepted by Fred Warner.
The big one-on-one here, Travarius Ward versus CD Lamb. Ward had a great 2022, not a great wild card. DK Metcalf beat him for a big touchdown. Ward gave up over 100 yards, 9 targets, 7 receptions allowed.
Ward, that one spot where he looks back, and that's what allowed DK Metcalf to separate.
On that same note, it's worth noting 49ers defense has been great in 2022, but they gave up big yards to Jarrett Stidham and Devontae Adams a few games ago. Last week versus Geno, over 250 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Metcalf having a big game into 49ers territory.
Typically, San Francisco has played wideouts well, held them to an 88.5 rating. That was 12th lowest. Cornerback Deommodore Lenoir didn't have a great 2022, but he played well versus Seattle.
Lofts it up for Metcalf, who is defended by Lenoir.
This week, he'll get a lot of Michael Gallup. 6 targets, 5 catches, and a score last week.
And it's Gallup behind the defender. Touchdown!
49ers will have to play the tight end position well as well. Dak isn't wishy-washy when it comes to Dalton Schultz. 8 targets, 7 catches, 95 yards, 2 scores versus Tampa Bay. 8+ targets, 3 straight games now. He's a Prescott fave.
End zone caught. Touchdown, Dalton Schultz.
Niners against tight ends in 2022. Rating allowed 98.2. That was middle of the pack. That's an opening.
Kyle Pitts caught it. Touchdown.
Tony Pollard, Zeke. Pollard snapped out of his mini slump last week, 77 yards, 5.1 a run.
Pollard again, nice hesitation.
Elliott, 2.1 yards per carry on 13 tries versus the Bucs. Hasn't been over 4 yards per carry in 5 straight games now.
Goes nowhere.
He and Pollard trying to find room against the #1 defense versus running backs in 2022.
I'm a Death Eater, boy!
It's all sort of insulting that we wait this long to get to the 49ers O-face that's put up 37+ points in 4 straight games.
It is George Kittle, and they've got it.
Passing game is on fire right now for them. Rudy, Rocky, Michael Sarah all rolled in one behind center. Brock Purdy legend, only bigger after watching him in his first playoff game.
Here's what I'm talking about with that progression going through, right? He's reading left. Where's Elijah Mitchell? He should be checking down. He should be ready back over here to my right side.
332 yards, 131.5 rating, 3 touchdowns, no picks, put receivers in spots to pick up yak, and if he gets flushed, showed he can keep plays alive with his legs.
Dances and finds McCaffrey, who broke loose.
We have a good old-fashioned Debo Craig showdown lined up with Trayvon Diggs playing cube in this case. Samuel snagged a few chains and pagers last week.
You got Cody Barton coming down. You think he's going to make the tackle. Then you think Mike Jackson's going to make the tackle.
6 catches, 133 yards and a touchdown, so he's feeling it. Diggs, 10 targets versus Brady and company, allowed 7 catches, 75 yards, a rating over 90, so not great. Dude's a gamer though, and that's why him on Debo will be fun.
Realistically, every ball could be a pick.
Purdy doesn't play favorites though. He could easily turn to Brandon Ayuk if he thinks Waldo's in front of him. Ayuk 4 targets, 3 catches, 73 yards. He was San Francisco's top wideout in 2022.
Ayuk's just kind of flying under the radar, but 3 catches and 73 yards.
Is Darren Bland wearing the red-white cap? He gave up a touchdown, 8 catches on 12 targets last week, 85 yards.
Caught by Julio Jones.
Dallas's pass defense that Purdy and company face gave up 351 yards to Brady, but it was on 5.2 yards per attempt. They held him to a 72.2 rating.
Intercepted in the back of the end
end zone.
Dallas's play versus the pass overall very similar to Seattle's, and we saw what Purdy did to them.
Downfield, Ayuk comes free.
And he didn't need George Kittle much. Comes off a quiet game. His 2 catches were effective, and we all know his game.
That's it fly for George Kittle. They found a soft spot in that defense a few times today.
Elijah Mitchell and CMC, 5 targets, 4 catches, 42 yards, 2 touchdowns. McCaffrey, the runner, comes in hotter than the receiver, too. He gained 115 yards on 15 tries, 7.9 yards per carry.
McCaffrey gallops free.
Cowboys held running backs to 4.2 a run in 2022. They only faced 12 rush attempts versus Tampa Bay. Kicking game, Robbie Gould, solid year, 4 for 4 last week, 3 for 3 on extra points in damp conditions. Brett Maher, Dak might trust Charlie Brown trying to hit from 50 with Lucy holding the ball more than he trusts Brett right now. Watching the 4th extra point in a row miss, it went from kind of funny to painful, just as a fan.
He has done it again.
They might be looking for a kicker next week.
Like we said, this is a playoff rematch. 2021 wild card, 23-17 San Francisco. Cowboys got Debo'd on the ground, 72 yards and a touchdown.
What a run!
Then there was the trifecta of the early 90s. 92, 93 went to Dallas, 94 went to San Francisco. There was that one 1981 game. And then there was the original trilogy, early 70s, 70, 71, 72, a Dallas sweep. Preview is yours from here. Add anything else missing to the comments section with your score prediction. Great game to close the divisional round out on.
Get your hands up. Let's go. Let's get it.